Hello, everybody. You know, it's funny because this is a video that I've had an idea in my head that I've wanted to do for a really long time. And then, of course, you know, the NeedleGroove, Kieran, throws it out there as a thread. So, thank you very much for making it as a thread, because now you kind of kicked me in my ass to get on here and do it. but the one I'm talking about, is, of course, is the 10 for under 10. Which I should note, I have a little more than 10. When I was pulling, I made a list, and when I started pulling that list out, it was like, ooh, and I pulled a few more out. So, whatever, the more the merrier. And they're almost all entirely jazz because, well, let's face it, I mean, rock records, a lot of rock records, or you know, classic rock records, you know, are so cheap. Just because, you know, any given jazz record, they might have only pressed 10, 15, 20,000 of them, maybe 50,000 tops. But with, you know, classic rock records, I mean, they press millions of them. So, these are almost all jazz. So if you don't like jazz, don't bother watching this video. But if you do, maybe I'm giving you some ideas. So, right off the bat, Arnie Lawrence and Treasure Island. Oh my God. This album has one of the cheesiest, crappiest, most disgusting covers I'd ever seen. But it is some beautiful, like, sensual, spiritual jazz. I mean, just, oh, like the expression on his face. That's what the music is. It is fantastic. And I think a very underknown album. So, you know, jump on it if you guys ever come across it. Oliver Lake, Life Dance Is, off of Arista Novice. Oh, phenomenal free jazz record. Nobody I can really say that plays on it, but if you're a free jazz lover, I mean, this album is right up your alley. And I mean, you could get this shit for like a couple bucks. It is criminal how cheap it is. Les McCann, Invitation to Openness. Oh, baby. I have seen this record for like $3, $4 in stores before. I mean, you see it all over the place. It is dirt cheap, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Came out 72, I believe. The opening track, The Lovers, is like 26 minutes long. A great funky fusion album from start to finish. Absolutely wonderful. Barry Miles and Silverlight, Magic Theater. This is another great fusion album. If you really like the sound of a Fender Rhodes, you know, or Moog, this is for you. Just burning up the synthesizer from front to finish. Fantastic. I picked out these two records because I couldn't choose between them. And I mean, they were right next to each other, so they're pretty much almost one album. But Dave Liebman, Drum Ode and Lookout Farm. Oh, ECM. I could pick 40 or 50 ECM records alone to put on this thing, but I just picked these out for the hell of it, because these, you can pick these up for like $5, maybe even less, in just phenomenal, you know, phenomenal, what's the word I'm looking for? Condition. Oh, fusiony, funky at times. This album, Drum Ode, has a couple tracks with some vocals on it, a bit on the spiritual side. This one's more of a extended jazz jam. Oh, Sam's Float is funky as balls. Absolutely wonderful. I love everything about this. Both of them have John Abercrombie on it. Oh, burning it up. This is the one rock record I pulled out because it's one that I'm not sure too many people would know about. But Wizard's Brew by Roy Wood, Roy Wood's Wizard, or Wizard. I don't know if you want to call it by Roy Wood or by the band Wizard, but I put it under Roy Wood. Roy Wood, Wizard's Brew. Oh, man. This was his first solo album after leaving Electric Light Orchestra. And it's almost a prog album, because of course he's using lots of various instrumentation and putting in classical accompaniments. And he plays like 40 instruments on this album. It's hilarious. He plays like everything. But at the same time, at the heart of it, at the very root of it, I mean, it's just like a dirty rock record. This is so good. And you can find this for $5, $6, $7 pretty damn easy. Oh, Roy Wood Wizard Brew, look it up. It is wonderful. Rodney Jones, Articulation, off of Timeless, or Timeless Muse, whichever one you want to put it for. Oof, this album goes everywhere from like standard jazz to bossa nova to jazz fusion. I mean, it is everywhere. Each song almost has its own particular flavor to it, and it is a wonderful hidden gem that like nobody knows about, and you can get this really cheap. Arthur Blythe does alto saxophone on it. Other than that, I don't know any of these other people, except I should point out the drummer is phenomenal on this. Kenwood Dinar. Killer album. This album is a local album for me. It actually came out in the city just south of where I live. So it's a Florida local album from the 80s. 83, I believe? 86. But of course, I'm talking about Daryl Dobson, The Mind Electric. It's like the cheesiest picture ever. This is some superb fusion music. Almost Mahavishnu Orchestra. Like, at certain points, very guitar driven. But the opening track has El Shankar doing the 10-string violin. Oh, so spiritual. Spiritual. It's rocky. It's a little funky at times. It is jazzy throughout. This is just an awesome album that is a hidden, obscure gem that nobody knows about. And if you look around, you could pretty easily get a copy for under 10 if you're patient and try and find one. I'm sure somebody's going to show this or already has showed it. I mean, Billy Cobham's Spectrum, I mean, come on. I mean, aside from being one of the quintessential, jazz fusion records, it is just cheap as balls. I mean, you can find a copy of this in the dollar bin probably. It is just so good. And thankfully, tremendously available. So, I mean, you find these things everywhere. I think I got like 3 copies at Goodwill. And I just, give them away to my store and trade in. You find it all over the place. And, I mean, for good reason, it is a wonderful album. Arthur Blythe, Lenox Avenue Breakdown. Oh, baby. Getting into some of that serious jazz right here. This has, I mean, a tremendous amount of players on it. It doesn't even say how many players on this. It's ridiculous. But I know, I should point out that Tyner McCoy is on it, along with, I believe, Cecil McBee on bass. And, what's his name? James Blood Ulmer does guitar on a couple tracks. This is spiritual, funky, fusion, standard, I mean, just serious jazz playing from every track, from the end to the beginning. And, I mean, I could have put a couple of his other albums on there, but to me, this is the best cheap one you could find. And, I mean, I picked this up at a store, I think, for like $8. You can find it probably cheaper than that just looking around. Phenomenal album that not a lot of people know about, but really good. Arthur Blythe. This is one, excuse me. This is one that, again, the cover is so bad. Lee Morgan, self-titled from 72. I mean, just the worst cover ever, but some awesome, spiritual, funky jazz. I mean, what the hell's his name? It's Billy Harper contributes 2 tracks to this, and it is just, it was his last record too, I should say. I do believe this was his last record that he what I'm saying, recorded before he passed away. And partly I think because the cover is so bad, and partly because none of the tracks were actually written by him, they were all written by the band. Not too many people know this record, but it's so good. It really makes you wonder if he hadn't passed away where his music was heading, which is a very spiritual place. And this is just, if you're patient and you look around, you'll be able to find a copy for under $10. Very good record. Very cool. Another one that generally goes for a bit more, but if you're patient and look around, I got this a few years ago for $8 from my store. So, I mean, they're out there. But Barefoot Boy, Larry Coryell. Oh, another phenomenal jazz fusion album. Psychedelic at times, with some of that really, what's the word I'm looking for? Spacey guitar. Does a cover of Gypsy Queen that really throws Santana's version just off the boat into the water. Just see ya. Doesn't even come close to touching it. It's so good. And A Call to Higher Consciousness. Oh, sidelong track that just gives you goosebumps. This is a great, great record by one of my favorite guitarists. And like I said, if you're patient and you look around, you'll be able to find one easily under $10. And the last one I gotta show, told you it was a bit more than 10, but the last one I have to show is, I could have pulled his other records out, because he has two records, what's it called, Have You Heard and Looking for That Groove off of Eris the Novice, which, again, you can get them for like $3, $4, $5. Easy, and they are so good. Criminally underrated albums, but Baird Hersey and The Year the Ear with Dave Liebman. This is a sealed copy, and the reason it's a sealed copy is because I bought it sealed. You can get this record from a website, jazzrecordmart.com. All one word, jazzrecordmart.com, for $5. Brand new, sealed. I bought like 5 copies of them, and randomly over the years I've given a couple of them away. But it is just, this is like an avant big band. There's just a lot of people playing on this record. A lot of people playing on this record. But but it is spiritual, funky, fusiony jazz with some tremendously rocky guitar solos. Yeah, and all throughout being carried off by, like 15 different people playing it. Like I said, it's a fusion big band. That's basically what it is. And you could buy new copies of this for $5. And his other records, like I said, he's got like 2 other records that you can get for the same price, like $5 or under. Oh, criminally underrated. One of the best fusion records I could ever say, except for the opening track. I gotta be honest, they do a cover of Night in Tunisia, which does absolutely nothing for me. It's just sort of like, okay, next. It's almost like a Drunken Sailor version of Night in Tunisia. Otherwise, the rest of the album is just a funky, fusiony, big band jazz, free exploration monster of an album that you can get real cheap. So, Baird Hersey, look for him. That's all I got to show. Sorry I got a little long-winded there, but I hope I gave you guys some ideas, and as always, till next time.